This week on Tombstone Ranch, sights and sounds from a 20,000-hectare wildfire.
Greetings again, everyone. In this one, I am just going to narrate through a forest fire that we went through in 2022. I apologize in advance for the dogs. They're screwing around here in the room. We knew there was a fire. My wife had called and said, hey, there's a fire. And I'm like, well, that would explain the massive amount of smoke. When the wind comes your way, it pushes the fire your way and you get the smoke. When the wind goes the other way, fire goes away from you and the skies can clear. But you know there's something here's the house, and fire is pretty much right there. And this is more or less the beginning of it. Well, actually, this wasn't the beginning of it. It started quite a ways away. It had burned our way, and now this large area of trees, it was just going up. But you can tell the breeze here was going to would be the northeast or north, so kind of going away from us. I didn't know this, but during the day, fire burns up hills, and at night, it burns down. So when the heat's going, it really gets fired up. Midday is usually when it's the worst, and at night, it more or less just drops off the trees, the needles and whatnot, and works its way down the hill, and sort of expands, non-stop. So here at nighttime, you can start to see it. It's crested the hill, and it's starting to come down. It was kind of weird and how slow it was progressing because the wind wasn't on it. The mountain there was protecting it. Well, you can see it. It did drop though, but it wasn't being pushed at us at like a super fast rate. We were able to just sit and sort of watch these things burn, which was disconcerting. Not the best way to spend an evening, but is what it is. Behind that hill, the entire region went up. Like the video says, 20,000 acres. So this was, I don't know, in the first day or so, as it really expanded and blew up. It's sorry for the grainy picture, but it was super zoom and late at night. I wasn't walking over into that because I ain't crazy. During the day, you don't really see the flames as much. It's more or less you see smoke. The sun sort of bleaches it out. Well, and you put on the night vision though, and you can see the progress, like more or less. And this is without wind. This is just it dropping its way, creeping slowly towards us, and burning while it goes. I will apologize for the shaky cam, but it is what it is, sort of, when you got other things. I had other things on my mind at the time. I was fascinated, but better things to do. Because you got to figure, like, this is a mile away. Those are big trees that are burning there. Like this, it was not a small fire. It's amazing how fast it can move at times, and other times it just crawls along. Depending on oxygen and fuel, I suppose. I don't know if this is going to show it or not, but when a new tree goes up and if it's dry enough, I think it's the Douglas firs. When it hits a Douglas fir, they go up in just an explosion. where we're sitting, and as you can see, this is still the same night, so it progressed quickly at night. Kind of tough to go to sleep. We were under an evacuation warning here, so basically they kind of wanted us to leave, but I'm not going to get into all the politics involved and whatnot, but we weren't going to go anywhere unless we were, we did get the kids out. I mean, I'm not crazy, but we got the kids out. My wife and I stayed. We were set up. We have I think it's called a Mark III. I don't know who makes it though, but it's a forestry pump, and we can put that down in the creek. See, during the day, it doesn't look as bad, even though this is the same fire. So this is the same scene we were just looking at during the day. And it's like, you would think the fire would be way worse. And maybe it is, but it looks worse at night. But finally, we started hearing the helicopters. And we heard from the emergency services this day. They came in to set us up with roof sprinklers. Basically, you do like this umbrella of water around the house. They had the same pumps as I had. They just didn't want to use mine because probably theirs are in better shape, better maintained. But what they did was they had these ton of different helicopters, like these buckets underneath it, which look tiny, but they're enormous. Like you could carry, I think you get like 2 or 3 people in those things, depending on the size of the people. But what they did, since there's no water, I'm in a very arid area. Somewhere in here, I do get a picture of what he's dipping into. I don't know if it's this scene or not, but these guys had to dip these buckets into a shipping container, basically. And we will get to see quite a few of the helicopters they used in our area. But yeah, he had to dip the bucket into this tank of water and then fly up, and I guess they pick a spot and they piss on it. I can argue about the efficacy of what they were doing, because this fire went on in this region for almost a month and a half. So you kind of start getting, like, the stress gets to you after a while. It's like, just put the fucking thing out, would you? And I called and said, where are the bombers? And you're going to see it here, like this. It's a big bucket. I mean, that is a huge helicopter. I called that one the Whale. We'll get a better shot of that later. I boogied on down to where they were landing. We were bringing the guys drinks and stuff like that. It's hard work. The emergency crew guys, fantastic. Wildfire services, those dudes work hard. Don't have quite the same opinion of the white shirt, the guys who are in charge. But here we go. So, and this guy didn't have the bucket. He was actually sucking it up into the belly of his helicopter. And then I guess he opens up the bomb bays and does it. Let's see. Well, there is a valley between where we're looking at the fire and where my place is. Like I say, it looks like it's close, but that is about a mile. get in there. I don't know how they aim these things. And what's crazy, it's probably something to do with, you know, flying a helicopter in smoke at night or something, but you would think you would fight it at night when you can see where the hot spots are. But they did it during the day. It's probably way too dangerous. And, I mean, you certainly don't want to risk a guy's life over some burning trees, regardless. So I do get that. But when it's your home, you know, it's emotional. You could lose everything, literally. They come around and they basically say, you know, pack what you need to leave or what you can't do without, leave everything else, and get out of here until we tell you you can come back. And that's a whole different thing, because once you've evacuated, you, under penalty of law, cannot return to your property. Like, they got great aim, these guys. Sorry about the shaky cam, but this is zoomed in about half a mile. So yeah, they got these tanks. They kept coming in and filling up the tanks. That tank, I guess. These guys were buzzing around for, like I said, for about they worked on this area in this way for 2-3 weeks, and the helicopters were just all over, because we're at such a high elevation, and you'll see a little bit later that they were, at a certain point, they were buzzing the house. I mean, those buckets were swinging by the window sometime. Like, they were. This is about, that tank is about 300 feet below the level that I'm at. So yeah, like, God, these guys are so good with these helicopters. I mean, come on, that's pretty decent. Well, that one, I think that's like a Huey. Pretty cool. That's funny. They're not like fire services. I think they're just contract guys. But they got to be pretty damn good at what they do. I found that cool. I thought that was really neat. I thought they'd all have the buckets, but now this guy's got a super sucker in the bottom of it. Look at that. He's holding that thing. And there is breezes down in the valley there. Kind of an odd aside, I was playing a lot of Call of Duty during this, because I mean, you can't really, like I said, you can't leave your house because the cops will keep you from coming back. Like, once you leave, you're out, and so you kind of gotta stay put. So I was playing Call of Duty, and actually with all the helicopters, especially the Huey guy, he kept buzzing the house. Actually had a lot to it. It was kind of fun, except for the fact that, you know, house could burn, you could die in a terrible way. I guess what was frustrating was the fire kept growing. They did this day after day after day, and it just kept expanding. But hey, they know what they're doing. And see this guy, he's got good aim. He's a mile above the bucket, or above the tank. He gets it right in there. And it's not a joke, because if that sack on the bottom, I don't know, I'm sure there's a name for it, if that catches on the side of that tank, or on anything else like a tree, it could, well, kill the pilot. Like, it would crash almost immediately, and more than likely start another fire. So these guys, I mean, it's no joke what these guys are doing. This went on for quite a while. As an aside here, you can kind of see the sprinkler hooked up on the ridge of the roof. A lot of different choppers used through the weeks here. If I'd known I was doing this for YouTube, I would have got more shots like this, or took a little more effort. You can understand with just a guy in a forest fire with a handy cam strapped to his wrist. It's funny, each pilot did have its own style, manner of doing it. Like the one Huey guy, I don't even know if they're called Hueys anymore, looked like a Huey. He was using my house for sure as like the loop point to come in to refill. This guy kind of sort of took his time. He cruised around a fair bit. I think they're sort of just, actually I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they keep from banging into each other. Who goes in for fueling and this and that. There's got to be somebody who coordinates it, I suppose. Maybe one guy's in charge. I don't know. We didn't get that deep into it. Neat bunch of choppers on. Yeah, this guy, now I'm thinking about it, he was pretty easy to photograph. He was he's sort of buzzing my house too. Yeah, bud, go on, he's off there, bud. Just seemed to me, though, it would have been more efficient to get the plane bombers in here. They told me it was too risky in the valley, and there could be something to it. I think there's an airplane graveyard near me where there's a whole bunch. I shouldn't laugh at that. That's nothing funny about it. There's a whole bunch of crashes because I think there's a really nasty. I think it's a downdraft because where I live there's like 3 valleys that all converge. And the thermal draft hits them, and if you're not really ready for it, the guys will come in and they'll buzz through basically buzz the top of the mountains, which is unfortunately where I live. And they hit these things, and if they're inexperienced, they crash and they die. So there could be something to it. This guy liked that. They did know I was videotaping. You get a couple of waves, a couple of nods from these guys. And then later when I was talking to them, they're like, oh, you're that guy up there. Like, yeah, we saw you in the camera. Yeah, so maybe showing off a little bit. I tell you, those buckets got a little close sometimes. But I think these guys know what they're doing. I have to have a number of hours to get this gig. Why am I staring at a tree? Somewhere there's a helicopter in there. Oh, he's sneaking in over down low. I think this guy, he was having some fun. Like, he is buzzing the top of the mountain. Like my level that I'm on. And I think there's an old adage about guys just cannot not go outside when they hear a helicopter, so I spent a lot of time outside. And so here I'm trying to get the focus in because this is quite a distance away from where I'm sitting, and I want to see the. Here we go. I think here we see them actually. Yeah. Here we go. Bombing them with this bag of water. Looks so small. And I don't know. I think that's like trying to take out a strip. But some of them would actually, focus in on a hot spot and just dump the whole thing there. And go back for more. That's a cool shot. I don't know if these are company owned or if they're private owned. Maybe some of these guys are really proud of their choppers. I don't know. They're neat. Neater than my camera skills, that's for sure. There we go. This guy wanted to put out that one tree. And did he hit it? We'll never know. I did zoom in. Did he get this? Before we lived out here, I had no idea that they even fought fires this way. I just never looked it up. I think maybe like a lot of people, I have just never lived through something like this until this point. Yeah, it's a lot of water they're dumping. Yeah, this whale was probably one of the biggest choppers they had, and they just had the bag. You think that could have a great big tank inside it. But I'm sure there's only so many choppers to go around with guys who know how to do this. It gives you a little bit of the perspective there. Those are full-size trees behind it. You don't really get the distance. God, these things must cost a fortune. Kind of funny aside, when we knew we were going to move here, and I knew where we were at, and we have all these flat areas up in the mountains, I thought, well, maybe I'll just get a helicopter and fly around. They're expensive. like little teeny tiny bubble of a thing. I don't know, I seem to recall they were into like $1 million for like something that wasn't, it was like serious. I don't know what these things would cost. Bet you it's a lot. If anyone knows, you can post down below, because these are... This video, let's be honest, this is for dudes that like to look at helicopters. I think there's a lot of women watching this. If there are women, thanks for watching. I guess I shouldn't say that. There was a fangirl down at the refueling site, and she was loving these things. She was chatting up the pilots. It was great because she was nice looking, so the pilots were happy to talk to us goofy drunk dudes, because she was all enthusiastic, not hard to look at, and yeah, maybe that's why they were in such a good mood. Can't blame them at all. So maybe there are women like helicopters. We shouldn't assume. It was something to experience, that's what I'm going to say. About editing this down quite a bit, but you can always fast forward if this is a little bit too much. But I know there are the people who want to take a look at this. I mean, I sat out there watching these guys for days. Like I say, every so often a new one would show up. This is what we're talking about. If he catches, he's in some trouble. So I think that's what the top of that bag is designed for, to keep it from catching. I suppose we open the bottom and it sinks in. This guy's having a little trouble. I'm sure it's a lot harder than it looks. Yeah, that's a cool looking helicopter. Cruising around with his landing gear out. Oh, I guess that's how you can see. He's just peeking out through the side window. Yeah, that thing would cost a few bucks. Cool paint job on that. Now that looks like something like a fire services helicopter from somewhere. I know we had some guys from Washington State in, some from BC services. I think all the fire services, like they help out when we're close enough to the border and it's a big enough fire and they have the people to spare. It's decent. I said the whole thing was, I mean, it wasn't a positive experience. It was it was an experience. I learned an awful lot about forest fires, how to fight them, and the admin side. The admin side I did not enjoy at all. Nothing fun dealing with the white shirts. Dealing with I think I said this earlier, but dealing with the grunts in the ground, and the chopper pilots, the refueling guys, totally awesome. Like just a super. They actually did a lot to put you at ease. It's like, look, this is what we do for a living. We're gonna get this out. We're gonna do this. We're gonna cut some fire breaks. These guys are looking at the fire from angles you can't see. They've actually got they had a landing pad cut at the top of this mountain to the right here. Some sort of staging area, and then they had a refueling depot down below, and then the water tank area. There is a lake they could use, but quite a distance, so I think they thought, well, let's just do this. And they have to get permission from us to use our land for refueling, for landing. Because they do a fair bit of damage when they go in. They clear landing spots and fueling spots. Like they're very efficient with the heavy equipment, as they call it. That was their term. Actioning the fire with heavy equipment. Very vague. Of course, if any of you have shared experiences or insight to some of this stuff, put it down below. I'd be curious. It was something to live through. The sound of those rotors inside the house was, I don't know if it's because we have the metal roof, I don't know if because it's a log cabin. Boy, some of these guys would resonate just right. And I don't know, maybe they know what they're doing, but they'll rattle your fillings out when they go over. And this was another guy, and he's like, no, I'm going to go right over your house when I swing around. Hose boy's back. Got rid of the bag, boys. Now we got the hose boy. The tree buzzer. This day, and he was sort of the showstopper. This guy, like, I don't know what kind of helicopter that thing is. I'd never heard anything like it. Different sound, different look, and I have, you know what? I'm looking at the time on this thing. We're about 45 minutes. We're getting up there. I'm probably going to break this into 2 parts. Yeah, this guy was good. He got right in there. I'm going to break it into 2 parts. I'm going to up it right away as soon as I edit it together. It's where we go down and actually see them. But look at the rotors on this thing. Like, it looks like a toy. It really did look like, even close up, it didn't look right. Like I think it's a 1-seater. You must get like a lot of lift with those 2 rotors, because it was a relatively small little helicopter. But yeah, I think I'm going to, well, now I'm just taking pictures of trees again. So I'm probably going to cut this off pretty soon, and then there will be a part 2, and then there's actually going to be a part 3. Yeah, that's cool. Where I actually go to the spots where that were burned, and I've got some good imagery of that. It's not even imagery, I've got some good video footage of the burnt areas and whatnot. And I got out and I walked through some of it, so we can sort of take a look, because I have a bunch of this on my property, burned out areas. So I think that's going to be almost it for today. We'll see you in part 2. Thanks for watching, and I'll shut up for the rest of the video.